Um, wonderful.
But we didn't go. Our friends.
I know, but this is mercy, right? Because they could gate it for you, and you can have that water. It's just so
Yeah.
auspicious that is. Okay, I have something else coming up there. Okay, is that my desktop? I guess so. Give me a second. I will bring the verse here. Where is that? Okay. This is okay, or should I zoom in a little? This is good? Okay. So we will be reading text 29. We'll start with the prayer. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishavanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukum Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Bande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Wonderful. So we are on 28, correct. I forgot my glasses, so I have to read it from there. So we will read Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Avyktadini Bhutani व्यक्तमध्यानि भारता अव्यक्त्यानि एव तत्र का परिदेवना. Translation, please.
All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So, what need is there for limitation?
Very nice. So I know the age we live in, we have tendency to forget. So just connecting these dots together. In first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, what we saw, Arjuna didn't want to fight, and he gave four reasons. Anybody remembers any of those reasons?
I think one of the reasons is my own relatives, why should I kill?
Correct.
What is that I'm going to achieve if all my
Correct,
will
correct,
go away?
correct. So, the very good point. So, the reason is compassion. He is compassionate about his relatives, right? He doesn't want to kill. What is the other reason? Try it out. Destruction of family tradition. So CESDI. That's how it is. Forget about I, it is CESD. So four reasons. So the second one is loss of enjoyment. What will happen? And we will get to there. And the third one is sinful reaction. And the fourth one is destruction of family tradition. So these are the four reasons because of which Arjuna didn't want to fight. And now Krishna is still covering the first part, which is compassion. Now there's a very beautiful verse. And I want to get little deeper, not touching the surface, getting into the ocean and experience what is Krishna is telling here. All created beings are unmanifested in their beginning. Anybody know what is the meaning of unmanifested? There are a lot of terms, to be honest. When I came to SCON, I got to know about
I
those.
heard the name, but I cannot explain it. Manifestation, they call it. It's like I think
Correct,
it's
correct.
very well heard name.
This,
Manifestation is I mean, as far as I know,
no problem.
making
Please. Hmm.
making things happen what you desire or what you want.
Yes, exactly. And you got it right. If I have to put it in this context, is appearance and disappearance. Manifest means it appeared in front of eyes. It's not that it didn't exist. Like for an example, the sun, when sun rises in the morning, we don't say sun took birth in the morning. Am I making sense? And in the evening, we don't say it is the end of sun, right?
Still there.
Manifested, yes. Manifested and unmanifested. So sun is there. At this part of the world, in the evening, it will go away and it will appear on the other side. But it is there, but we can't see it, right? So this is manifestation and unmanifested. Very interestingly, when we call the birth and death, the birth and death is not applicable to the soul. We read those verses, right? That you cannot kill the soul, and soul never takes the birth. It is living from eternally. So what happens with the soul? It manifests and unmanifests. Are you with me so far? So what is this unmanifested state? So there are three kind of dissolution which happen, and I remember sharing that before, but I want to bring that point again. One is which we know when we lose our body. That is one kind of unmanifestation, which is the soul still exists, but I haven't got the body yet. Right? So that's the first unmanifested state. The second unmanifested is who is our creator? Lord Brahmaji is our creator. He is our great grandfather. Right? So there are three primary gods: Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. You just now mentioned about Kailash. So he is the one who is responsible for destruction of the entire material creation. So there are two kind of annihilations. Did you hear that word before? Annihilation, right? You know that destruction, correct? So there are two annihilation happens, not the first one. When we die, the annihilation doesn't happen. When Brahmaji's night happens, one day of Brahma, when every day Brahmaji's night happens, destruction happens. Can you imagine what kind of lifespan? What one day of Brahma, right? And then the second annihilation which happens is when Lord Brahma himself leaves his body, which is annihilation of everything. So now the question comes in is what happens to us? Where do we go? Because we live in this world and we think that this is our place. And if we lose the body, we think that the soul takes the body here somewhere. But we discuss there are multiple universes. And in universe, there are multiple planets. Based on the karma or law of karma, we take birth in various universes at various planets based on everything. Like one of the thing which is mentioned is if you can't perfect Krishna consciousness at end of your life, but you still practice, you may enter into the heavenly planets. Prabhupada said once, most of my disciples will enter into heavenly planet. Why? Because they didn't. Lot of my disciples, not most, lot of them will enter there. But there is a challenge in heaven. What is a challenge in heaven? There is a time span there. So what Christianity talks about going to heavens is talking about that place where there is unlimited enjoyment, but it is temporary. Am I making sense? Because Indra, even Brahmaji has a life. Indra also has a lifespan. All the devatas, all who are in charge of various, like moon planet. Who is the presiding deity of moon planet? Definitely Chandradev, right? Moon planet. Same way Surya planet. But they also have a life because the universe has a limited time span. Am I making sense so far? Based on the third annihilation, everything is destroyed. So devatas don't get destroyed after Brahma's life, but when Brahma dies, all of them have to leave the body. Am I making sense so far? So that's the third kind of dissolution. So what happens to us? Where do we get into unmanifested states? At three stages. We enter into the body of Mahavishnu. Like we have pores here. Can you imagine we live in the body of Mahavishnu? But in what state? In a sleeping state. That is called as unmanifested state. And when the creation happens, and who does the creation? Lord Vishnu instructs Brahmaji to do the creation. So now when the creation happens, first of all, the creation is there, but there is no time factor. Sorry, I'm getting into these details, but it is very intriguing and very beautiful to understand what is our background. There is no time factor, which means everything is still inactive. And Krishna or Mahavishnu glances at the time factor is induces in, and that's how we become active. Am I making sense so far? Did I confuse you?
No, I was just trying to relate to, the scientific way of
Hmm.
saying, right? Like
Hmm.
how we know that every universe, every galaxies are created, right?
Hmm.
So it kind of compares to that
Correct.
notion of it, and how the whole planetary objects goes through this transformation
Yeah.
to bring life into it.
Correct.
Right? So it's billions of years. So to your point, Brahma's one day is probably billions of years.
Years,
Exactly. Comparison.
exactly. So,
And also,
Hmm.
you're talking about the manifestation. So we know currently that the light phase, the speed of light from sun is about
Hmm.
8 seconds.
Hmm.
So you're not even looking at the reality. You are looking in the past.
Correct.
Because the light is already
Correct.
diffused,
Hmm.
but it's reaching you after
Yes.
8 seconds.
Yes.
So it kind of goes back to what we've been talking about, this quantum theory. The observer is what you observe is based on the observation. So that's what the manifestation is. You're seeing what you want to see, but the reality is something different.
A very important point, because our senses has limitation. Like you gave an example about, there is a limitation that it takes 7 seconds to come the sun, for sunlight to come here. At the same time, we have sensory limitation, how far I can see. I have a limitation for how far I can see. Same way for the ear wavelength, how far I can hear. So based on our senses, we can never understand all this mechanism which happens beyond our head, because it is difficult for us to imagine that there can be life without more than 100 years, right? But if you see in other yugas, there were living entities who lived for thousands of years. Like Krishna himself, who just before the Kali Yuga, he lived for more than 125 years. Bhagavad Gita is being spoken when he's at 125, right? And other devata, sorry, other manifestation of the Lord, they have different time period for how long they live. So coming back to this verse, we will read the translation. Go ahead, please.
Accepting that there are two classes of philosophers, one believing in the existence of the soul and the other not believing in the existence of the soul. There is no cause for lamentation in either case. Non-believers in the existence of the soul are called atheists by followers of Vedic wisdom. Yet, even if for argument's sake we accept this atheistic theory, there is still no cause for lamentation. Apart from the separate existence of the soul, the material elements remain unmanifested before creation. From this subtle state of non-manifestation comes manifestation. Just as from ether, air is generated from air, fire is generated from fire, water is generated, and from water, earth becomes manifested.
This is very interesting aspect. I don't know if you ever heard about it. So from there are 5 elements our body is made of: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Ether brings air. Air brings it mentions there, right? Air brings the fire is from the air. Fire is generated from fire. Water is generated from water. Earth become manifest. What is the proof? I will share that diagram. If you remember the creation, I was talking about the Vedic cosmology. There are 14 planetary systems, and I was zooming in into one universe, right? And one universe has those 5 layers. So, for soul to go out of the universe, to go to all these higher planets, one has to cross these 5 layers. And the smallest one is the earth. Thicker, I forgot the ratio, how thicker is that? But 10 times, that's what I remember. Water is 10 times thicker, which means it's difficult to penetrate. then water, after that fire, then air and ether. So that just happens, and after that, mind, intelligence, and ego. So ego is the biggest layer. So this whole world revolves around ego. The one ego which we know about is truly considered as false ego, because we identify ourselves with the false material world. The world exists, but it is temporary. That's why we call it as false. Am I making sense? Because there is other philosophy which says this world is mithya. This world is mithya. Mithya means illusory. It doesn't exist. Like in the dream, you may see the tiger is chasing or lion is chasing you, and you wake up. There is no lion here. There is no forest here. But does the lion exist? Yeah, it exists separately, but not in the dream. Am I making sense? So this illusory energy exists, but it is temporary. So it's not that this is illusory, which means it does exist, but it is temporary. Go ahead.
From the earth, many varieties of manifestations take place. Take, for example, a big skyscraper manifested from the earth. When it is dismantled, the manifestation becomes again unmanifested and remains as atoms in the ultimate stage. The
Conservation.
law of conservation of energy remains, but in the course of time, things are manifested and unmanifested. That is the difference. Then, what cause is there for limitation either in the state of manifestation or in unmanifestation? Somehow or other, even in the unmanifested stage, the things are not lost. Both at the beginning and at the end, all elements remain unmanifested, and only in the middle they are manifested. Middle are they manifested, and this does not make any real material difference. And if we accept the Vedic conclusion as stated in the Bhagavad Gita that these material bodies are perishable in due course of time, antarvanta ime deha, but that the soul is eternal, nitya shokta sari sarina, then we must sarina, then we must remember always that the body is like a dress. Therefore, why limit the changing of a dress? The material body has no factual existence in relation to the eternal soul. It is something like a dream. In a dream, we may think of flying in the sky or sitting on a chariot as a child, but when we wake up, we see that we are neither in the sky nor seated on the chariot. The Vedic wisdom encourages self-realization on the basis of the non-existence of the material body. Therefore, in either case, whether one believes in the existence of the soul or one does not believe in the existence of the soul, there is no cause for limitation or loss of the body.
Very beautiful. Thank you. This is a very beautiful purport. I covered one aspect of it. The second aspect, which is being discussed here, is that if someone doesn't believe in the soul, thinks that this is the life, that's it. There is no life after that. Then no regret for that. And if you think they are going to eternally exist, which is what the Vedic philosophy is, then there is no lamentation on that, because they will still exist. You think that you are killing them, but you are not killing them. You're killing them body. Again, important aspect. The bigger context which we need to keep in mind. This is not for us to use this philosophy to kill people. No. The point is not that. Here, Krishna is instructing Arjuna to establish Dharma. None of us are in that road. So it doesn't give us the liberty to use this philosophy. Because to be honest, this is a very important aspect of Jnana. If Jnana, which is knowledge, is not imbibed along with Vijnana, which is application or right application to be precise, that's very dangerous. For an example, we see so many gun shoots happening in United States. What is the use of the gun? Is not to kill people, but to protect yourself. So the instrument is there, but if the proper knowledge is not applied, then it is used for a wrong purpose. Can you quote me an example from scriptures who had a lot of knowledge, but he used his knowledge in a wrong purpose? You know it. I want to give you a hint. Yes, thank you. Ravana. Who was he? He was a Brahmana. Father was a Brahmana, wife was a demon. So he acquired knowledge. He had all Brahmanical knowledge one should have. So if you talk about Bhagavad Gita, he knows by words. I am not struggling to recite Sanskrit, but he knew everything by word, by word. But how did he utilize that? He utilized it to fulfill his own desires and created so much chaos. Second material example, can you quote me? You know this person as well.
I can tell you, there's a lot of people who are got PhDs and chemical
Hmm.
engineering. They make the drugs and do
Which is correct.
That's
Very good point. Thank you. You are using. Can you quote me an example in the material world where this person knew the philosophy but used it in a wrong way to do mass killing?
isn't it Hitler?
Yes.
Yeah, he's supposed to be a good guy actually.
He actually used the, thank you, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. He used the knowledge. His team or his people name was Aryan. That's very interesting. Aryan is who know the purpose of life. We just read it few verses back. So this is the problem. So when we gain the knowledge, one has to understand how do we apply it. That's why we don't get stuck in translation. We read the purport behind it, because purport gives a deeper aspect of understanding the same verse. If you read just without the purport, sorry, unmanifested and manifested, I don't know. To be honest, is the right? These are the words we can't connect well because we haven't heard them, or at least in that context. Is it okay? Can we move to the next verse? Okay, beautiful. Text 29. Ascharyavat pashyati kaschidенam आश्चर्यावद् वदति तथैव चान्या आश्चर्यावच्चैनम् अनया शृणोति श्रुत्वापि एनं वेद न चैव कश्चित्. This is very beautiful verse. Can you read the meaning?
Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him.
Go ahead and read the purport. This is very interesting verse.
The fact that since the Gita Upanishad
Can you pause here? Sorry, 1 second. This is very important. So there are Vedas and there are Upanishad. And Bhagavad Gita is one of the Upanishads. So that's why it is called as Gita Upanishad. Go ahead, Madhuri.
Since Gita Upanishad is largely based on the principles of the Upanishads, it's not surprising to also find this passage in Katha Upanishad. You want to read that? Sravana.
You can read the translation down.
The fact that the atomic soul is within the body is a gigantic animal in the body of gigantic banyan tree, and also in the microbic germs, millions and billions of which occupy only an inch of space, is certainly very amazing. Men with a poor fund of knowledge and men who are not austere cannot understand the wonders of the individual atomic spark of spirit. Even though it is explained by the greatest authority of knowledge, who imparted lessons even to Brahma, the first living being in the universe, owing to a gross material conception of the conception of things, most men in this age cannot imagine how much a small particle can become both so great and so small. So men at the soul proper as wonderful either by constitution or by description. Illusioned by the material energy, people are so engrossed in subject matters for sense gratification that they have very little time to understand the question of self understanding, even though it is a fact that without this self understanding, all activities result in ultimate defeat in the struggle for existence. Perhaps they have no idea that one must think of the soul, thus make a solution to the material miseries.
This is a very important verse, or especially this section which is mentioned here, where we talk about, let me go back here from the Katha Upanishad, about irrelevant of the size of the living entity, whether it's a huge elephant, whether it's a big giraffe, or a small ant, or any of us. The size of the soul doesn't change. And the soul is there as well as super soul is there in everybody's body. I have a question for you. So super soul is none other than Paramatma, which is none other than the expansion of Lord Vishnu himself, right? If God isn't within everyone's heart, why people behave very differently? Some people try to kill someone, someone tries to save someone tries to be nice, someone tries to be mean. Why is that?
Depends on karma, previous karma we have, and he's only observer. Our Paramatma is like a two birds. He
Yes.
keep observing and we behave, but he noted down and he observes. That's all.
Beautiful. So can I put it on my karma? Oh, what do? I don't have anything because of my past karma. I'm just doing these activities. Can I just blame on destiny or can I blame on
But he
karma?
has given little freedom
Hmm.
of acting because
Hmm.
freedom of thinking, freedom of acting he has given to
Very
humans.
nice. Very nice. Thank you, Prabhu. So connecting back to the point which Prabhu is mentioning here, Paramatma's voice is there for everyone. When I'm performing a certain activity which is not good for me, Paramatma still gives us the guidance. And I know you mentioned the other day about subconscious mind. I'll come to that. I got the answer for that one. So the challenge is that whether one wants to hear the mind or one wants to hear the Paramatma, mind carries the impression of previous life, which Prabhu is mentioning about. So whatever actions I did in my previous life, I carry those impressions in my next life. So the tendency is that I will try to perform, that will come by natural. For an example, a person who is really nice, it's very natural for him to speak nicely or rather than hurt people. But if someone carries the impression of being bad or being mean to others, for him speaking something which hurts other people is very natural. It doesn't affect him. You see those people around us lot of times. So where is that coming from? That is coming based on the previous activity that I carry the mind impression. But that does not define saying that, oh, because of my karma, what do I do? That's a wrong point which I want to bring in here. Even after my bad karma which I'm carrying or bad impression I'm carrying in my mind, I still have the free will to use it in a right way. Am I making sense so far? Let me give you an example from the scripture. Valmiki Muni, what was his previous name? Ratnakar. Who was he in his, not in previous life, who was he before he became Valmiki? He was actually a hunter. He would, no problem, it's almost same, right? So he would kill animals. So where does that propensity come from? That comes from his previous life or maybe newly created. It depends. It's very difficult to decode where is that coming from. But Lot carries from the previous life. But he had ability to change himself and transform himself. Not that I'm going by my karma.
Similar to Ashoka, right? He killed everybody, everything, and then all of a sudden he becomes.
That's an important aspect. So what am I doing? At the end of the day, after so much destruction, whatever happens, if I still get to know, oh, I did wrong and I want to repent on that piece. And that's how the things forward. So it's not that the karma decides or guide your life. They still tend to take you in those directions, but you still have those that free will to listen to Paramatma and move away from those propensities. Am I making sense so far? So that is what I wanted to bring in from the first paragraph. Can you go ahead with the second paragraph? Wow, this is interesting. Go ahead, yeah.
Some people who are inclined to hear about the soul may be attending lectures in good association, but sometimes, owing to ignorance, they are misguided by acceptance of the super soul and the atomic soul as one without distinction of magnitude. It's very difficult to find a man who perfectly understands the position of the super soul. The atomic soul, their respective functions and relationships, and all other major and minor details. And it is still more difficult to find a man who has actually full benefit from the knowledge of the soul and who is able to describe the position of the soul in different aspects. But if somehow or other one is able to understand the subject matter of the soul, then one's life is successful.
Beautiful. I have a question for you. And sorry, this is my habit to to pinch and then get the real knowledge from, because I'm sure you all know it already, but I just want to understand the deeper aspect. Is the purpose of life to understand I'm not the body, I'm the soul? आप मत बोलना, 2 मिनट रुकना. What do you think is the
Because we believe in reincarnation, the soul taking birth, which
yes.
is for the enrichment of soul.
Correct. So, can I say, understanding I am not the body, I am the soul is the purpose of life?
I think the meaning is why did the soul take birth? What is
Okay.
that unaccomplished
You
that the
understood
spirit
that
has?
also. How did the soul came into existence? What happens to the soul after we leave?
No, no, what I meant was, what is the purpose of the soul? What is the lesson that the soul has to learn in this life that
Hmm.
was not learned or whatever from the previous?
Very nice. So I understood. I did not know it before. This
Right.
world is temporary. My presence in this world is temporary. Soul is eternal, and I have to migrate from one body to another body based on my activities. So I have to be vigilant, saying that I will do good karma. I will be nice to people and all this stuff. Is this what the purpose of life is? I'm sorry. I'm just trying to go deeper. I want to understand from you, because ultimately I want to come to the point which I want to bring it to. That's the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. And I'm sorry, I'm bringing it in chapter 2, but that's important. Sometimes when you have a goal in your mind, when you walk towards the goal, it is easier. Some people have the tendency, I will walk and I'll explore what happens. It depends. Both routes have its pros and cons. I like the other one because the goal is clear. If some diversions come, I know this is not the purpose of my life. I have a goal I want to reach to. You can walk on the path. Okay, I want to go to West Virginia. I want to go to New Vrindavan. I'll drive one time I reach. So let me follow this route. But if I have a goal in my mind, I will walk towards that goal. Like Arjuna, when he was asked, "What do you see on the tree?" What did he say? I see the eye of a bird. Rest of the folks, I see tree, I this, right? So there was a goal. So coming back to the question, is the purpose of life to understand I am not the body, I am the soul, and everything in connection to the soul. I wouldn't say everything connected to the soul because that is also an answer. Soul, yeah, I understand.
Goal I would say is, so this what we just discussed, like what is soul and how it is doing, just a yeah. But ultimate goal is okay, how we break the cycle of manifesting again,
Hmm.
unmanifesting and
Hmm.
manifesting, but going to
Hmm.
the above
Hmm.
Vaikuntha,
Very good. Thank you.
so that we don't come back again on the same cycle.
Good. Thank
Exactly,
you.
that's answer.
Correct. Thank you.
Goloka.
Yeah.
Correct. We will come to that point. So thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. So very important aspect which I want to bring in here is that understanding I'm not the body, I'm the soul, which we are discussing right now, is to understand we have an eternal nature. Like for an example, a millionaire's son is lost. Okay, and now he lost his father. Father lost him, so he's not able to find him. Now that son is begging and doing everything, and finally he comes to one person who knows his father, and he recognizes him. Hey, I know your father. Is that the end of the story? Hey, I don't care. Who understood who is my father? Can you take me him? Can you take me to him? I don't want to stay here like that. Understanding who is my father, understanding what is my property, understanding what is my nature is not sufficient enough. I need to understand what is the purpose of the soul. The purpose of soul is to get out of the cycle of birth and death. Now, again, the challenge is there on cycle of birth and death also. I'm sorry, I'm going deeper. If it is too much, please stop me there. There is another spiritual philosophy which says you go to Brahman Jyoti, you get out of cycle of birth and death, you don't have to take a birth. But what will I do there? Yeah, what will I do there? I'll be alone here. What is the meaning of Brahman Jyoti? Is that how long? Am I making sense? Like for an example, you'd like to do gardening. Mataji likes to do cooking. Mataji wants to go out and explore nature. If I ask you, stop everything, just sit in one room and do meditation. COVID, a lot of people experience just staying at home with with walls. How was it? Imagine the same experience in that Brahman Jyoti. You're out of cycle of birth and death. Coming back to your first point, what soul needs is a service. Soul needs an engagement. Soul needs a relationships. Am I making sense so far? We need relationships. We need not the relationship which we think from this material world to exploit each other. Right? What we are talking about relationship where I am the servant. I want to serve you. Like the mother cooks for the child, not that he glorifies me. Am I making sense? Mother does it for the child so that she wants to give love to the child. Similar way, all this understanding should bring to our this concept. We are the child of God. We are child of Krishna. And ultimately, we want to understand our relationship with Him. Am I making sense so far? Right? So, with that goal, we will read third paragraph.
The easiest process for understanding the subject matter of self, however, is to accept the statements of the Bhagavad Gita spoken by the greatest authority, Lord Krishna, without being deviated by other theories. But it also requires a great deal of penance and sacrifice, either in this life or in the previous ones, before one is able to accept Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead. Krishna can, however, be known as such by the crossless mercy of the pure devotee and by no other way.
Thank you. I came to Krishna consciousness. I was Lord Shiva worshipper. So these guys told me, and I'm using these guys because I'm bringing myself back to that time. I think it is all right. I believe in Bhagavad Gita, but Krishna being the supreme personality of Godhead, which is He is the supreme God, does not penetrate with me. Okay, time passed. Philosophy went deeper. Okay, I understand Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, but I was a worshipper of Lord Shiva. He will be upset. Are this guy was worshipping me now, and now he is worshipping Krishna. Are you with me so far? Okay, so what I'll do is I'll worship Lord Shiva also. I will worship Lord Krishna also. Time went on because there are so many. I was in India, so there were so many festivals, and all the festivals connect back to different devatas. Am I making sense so far?
Yes, yes.
A significance. Diwali has a significance, not like here 4th July independent. Shivratri is Lord Shiva. So everything is connected to devatas, not at any festival you take it out of blue. Even if you see only in Western culture also, there is some synonym to saints or whatever it is. But there is this thing, not that for the sake of holiday we just create it like that. So it's not like that. It is connected to devatas. So I went deeper into that. I'll tell you one time our temple president was mentioning, he started the same Bhagavad Gita class some time back. So these, like you all came, you did not know about me. Someone called you, and then that's how you came to us, right? And then we started studying. So he had two couple of sessions, and then after that, if you read this line, he said Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. So there were 10 people, 9 people dropped. Why? Why? Because again, connecting back to my example, oh, I feel other devatas are greater, right? Which is fine if you think that way. It'll openly it will be clarified. But for all of you to sit here and listen, if you find out from your past, there are ways to find out. Again, you have to figure it out. I don't want to get into that matter. You all had a spiritual background in your previous life. That's why the same Bhagavad Gita which you are reading, you feel connected. I'll tell you, it's a beautiful day out. You could do anything else, but you chose to come here and study Bhagavad Gita. You may think, maybe I'm just coming. Everything, nothing happens by chance. There is a strong philosophy, there is a strong connection with whatever is spoken. So even if you're sitting and going forward with that one thing that, oh, Krishna is the supreme personality of God, and that shows you had previous life spiritual background which brings you here and makes you think, I want to go deeper into this philosophy and understand what is the purpose of life. Am I making sense so far? Any questions or comments? Any questions online, Madhaji?
I noticed when you said you were the worshipper of Shiva and
Hmm.
Krishna,
Hmm.
but my thought was like there is only one God, but called with different names.
Hmm.
So it's no different.
Yeah, I was very strong today. I was giving another class. There are a lot of philosophies, a lot of statements propounded or created by people quoting saying that this is mentioned in scriptures. And I mentioned two lines before. One is work is worship. I had this philosophy, and I'm sure you would have heard as well. Oh, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, work is worship. Go from, unfortunately, we don't have time and we don't have interest to read Bhagavad Gita and verify what this guy said is true or not. So he said, work is worship, Krishna said. If you go from chapter 1, text 1 to the 18th chapter, last verse, you will not find a single verse where Krishna says work is worship. Oh my goodness, I was believing this. I never knew that. There is nothing like that. Second, I mentioned before, Manav Seva, Madhav Seva. You know about that? Manav is human Seva. You serve human, which means you ultimately serve God. Where is that? Bhagavad Gita. Can you quote me a verse from Bhagavad Gita? There is no verse mentioned like that. Same way. I'll come to the yours is fourth. There is another third line. I'll say in Hindi. Let me know if you don't understand. सब रास्ते भगवान के पास जाते हैं. That's a third statement. Where is coming from Bhagavad Gita?
Oh, anything.
All paths.
All paths ultimately lead to God. Very stupid. If I apply today's philosophy, you are in Detroit. There is Delta Airline which is going to New Jersey. There is Delta Airline which is going to London. Oh, whether I take a London flight or whether I'll take New Jersey, I want to go to California, they will make me reach to California. You will laugh at it, right? So where is this coming from? If mundane, simple logic doesn't apply, how is that applied? So definitely not the right thing. Coming back to fourth thing. All devtas are same. Very interesting. If all devtas are same, Indra is same, Lord Shiva is same. You see, Lord Shiva, he's always in meditation. He's meditating on whom? Meditating on whom? I'm not trying to bring in who's superior. I don't want to get into that topic, but I want to cover this line. He is meditating. Have you ever read where Lord Shiva is sharing with Parvati what is his meditation? Parvati asked him once, my Lord, I always see you meditating. Whom are you meditating on? He says, there is a beautiful verse. I don't remember that. I'm very poor with remembering verses. He starts glorifying Lord Ram. And he says, I meditate on the beautiful quality of Lord Ram. And Mother Parvati says, so because she is the material energy of the Lord. So destruction I mentioned, right? Lord Shiva is in charge of destruction. His wife Parvati is in charge of material energy. She is Maya, that's the illusory energy, right? So one time, she's, sorry, you are worshipping my Lord Ram. So she sees Lord Ram in search of Mother Sita. He's crying, where is Sita? Where is Sita? He's asking trees, he's asking plants. So she's asking, my Lord, it is bewildering to me. Can you explain me? You are worshipping a person, you are meditating, you are Shambhu, you are a destroyer of this world. How come you are meditating on a person who is searching for a woman? His wife, he is crying for his wife. What kind of, this is very humanly, he cannot be Lord. So Lord Shiva says, don't get into that. He is the Supreme Lord. But she wanted to test Lord Ram. So she disguised herself in the form of Mother Sita. And she comes in front of Lord Ram. Lord Ram sees her. You know what is the response of Lord Ram? My dear Mother Parvati, what are you doing here? Where is Lord Shiva? Am I making sense?
Yes.
This is Lord Ram. Now, external plane, if you read, this is weird. Like in material world, when woman leaves the man or wife leaves the man, he cries and yearns for it. Lord Ram is also like that. How come he be the Lord? Am I making sense? We cannot understand the heart of the Lord. One has to have that stature. Like I'll give you one example. I had this philosophy. If Krishna is dancing with so many girls, or Krishna married so many wives, what kind of God he is? Am I making sense? This is one of the biggest problem of people.
Criticism by other religions. This is the main criticism by other religions.
Forget about that.
You have to have a strong answer.
Correct, but what about other religion, Prabhu? I'm a Hindu. And I'm coming from the background where Gujaratis are there. We know they worship Krishna. So it's not that I did not know Krishna. But I had, how come he is dancing with other wives of other people? How will you defeat? It requires a very higher truth to understand what is Krishna. Relationship between Krishna and gopis is not like a relationship between men and women. But because our mind, our thought process is so conditioned with this world that when we see men and women, we see them differently. right? Even if sometimes a father goes with the daughter, a person who's lusty will think that, oh, they're boyfriend and girlfriend. Like I remember, we went for some place, and I have a sister. She's one of my friend's wife, and then we were just discussing. The one person came, so she's your wife? No, she's my sister. Am I making sense? This world is, whose problem is that? Is that that person's problem? Actually, no. It's around the world we live in. We try to penetrate that idea, right? If you go to India and you see, like for an example, I used to come here, work, and then go back there. So in elevator, when you're there, so what happens is, if you are standing first, you will enter first, or if someone else is there, they will enter first, or if ladies is there, you let them in. So I was standing, I was waiting, I was the first one to wait for the elevator. Elevator came, people came out, I was thinking I'll go first, but all the people went in, and I was standing, the lift went, the elevator already went. I realized, hold on, I came to India, I have to understand the mindset of Indian people, and I have to work like, so you are waiting at the bus station or train station. If you are humble, follow like here philosophy, or even here, if you go to New Jersey and you go to New York for work, have you done that before? You can't follow American philosophy there. You get into the train like Indian. Otherwise, you can never get into the train. The train will go away.
Driving too.
Huh?
Not a bit different.
Yeah, driving too.
You have to drive like in Bombay and
Correct. If you drive in New York, you have to drive like that. Otherwise, I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, ma'am. But that's so. Where is the problem? Mindset. And mindset is adopted based on where we live. And automatically we adapt to, right? That's the point. Sorry, I didn't want to distract.
I have one point.
Yes, please.
I think I was thinking of reading the whole thing.
Mm.
The essence of this, I see in here, right? Illusion by the material energy. People are so engrossed in subject matters, sense gratification, that they have very little time to understand the personal self-understanding. Even though it is fact that without this self-understanding, all activities result in ultimate defeat in the struggle for existence. With a simple example, in my own life, when I go to Costco or some shopping centers to buy something, I spend a lot of money and a lot of stuff which I need, I don't need, everything. It takes so much crap into the house. That is how I always live. So it took some time for me to come up with the idea. Me and my wife thought, okay, we'll put some kind of notes where four of us will share. We go to Costco, we write down what we want. Like it starts from taking protein powder to banana to milk to something else. We have like 4 or 5 items. We call each other. You have to go enter it. Once you enter it, I go exactly. I go in even the lights. The way we go, it is well managed. First I go get the banana, and then go get milk, and I come back. Even that is sorted out. So then I have, and when I come out, I'm spending less money. I know exactly what we want to buy. We are buying it. You said right. If you have a goal, things will go really well. You achieve it. If you don't have a goal, you don't, right? It's exactly what I'm saying. When we plan and do it, when we understand ourselves, life seems to be very, very easy and good. Compared to not knowing and doing everything.
Yes, that's important to deal every aspect of our life with some kind of clarity what exactly we want to do. I don't want to get into consumerism. I can give a whole couple of classes on how this advertising and consumerism work. People are paid highly to be just the analyst to what to put in the first row when you enter the store. Thank you, bro. To enter. Thank you, bro. There is a huge sum of money spent on these people who identify what has to spend. People play with your psychology. Can you imagine? The serial you are watching, or forget about serial, YouTube, you're watching or you're browsing. This is the killing business of Google nowadays. I'm sorry to pitch that in. If I go to travel website, you go to YouTube, everything related to travel will come in. The whole world is around consumerism. Spend more, spend more. You, whether you need it or you do not need it, you are happy with iPhone 10. iPhone 16 will make you feel you like that. If I have that, I am the happiest person on the entire planet. Does it make sense? Makes you feel so. Like for an example, this is a very Crude example. I want to put that in. When Siri came into the picture on Apple was never sold in India, to be honest. Nokia came in, you all knew, then Sony Ericsson, then the other company. Android was the most prominent one. Apple came in there. Okay? I was thinking they will miserably fail there. Oh, this is Siri. It can recognize the voice. And rather than me typing the name or number, I will say, call this number, and it will do that. Right? People bought the phone and they call, for an example, sorry, I'm putting your name, don't take me wrong. Siri, call Mr. Doraswamy. Siri wouldn't understand our names. It will not be able to recognize. Wait, did I understand it correctly? You want to call Mr. I don't know. So you bought the technology thinking that the Western people are using that. If I use that, I'll be happy. Though this doesn't serve the purpose which I want the phone for. Like for an example, can you call Mr. Venkata? The pronunciation also has to be the same way the way you are doing it. So though Apple, whatever success, they had to redesign their Siri and bring in an Indian guy to actually code that language and put it translated. That's why the phones designed in America are different than the ones which are sold in India. They are completely separately designed. Software is completely different, especially on voice recognition. Sorry, I didn't want to distract this
So
conversation.
my point was like when you plan to do it, life is much better. So doing yourself, doing what you're doing, and make sure what you're doing, if it is wrong, if you think it's wrong, you shouldn't do it.
Similar way, like you make a to-do list, you make what I need to buy. You also need to plan your spiritual day. What time I should wake up? What time should I read? What time should I hear? What time should I introspect? I'll tell you. There is a new concept which is called being mindful. This wasn't there before. Where is this coming from? Because of the invention of the phone, because of the invention of WhatsApp, because of the invention of social media, people are lost. Swiping. There were no touch phones before. It was painful to use the keyboard phones, but it served the purpose. The moment touch phone came in, the purpose of the phone has completely changed. I'll give you a best example. If you want to watch your notice what you do, a lot of times we don't do, go into your screen time app in iPhone. Sorry, I'm not saying Android doesn't have it, but because I'm just quoting an example. You go in screen time, will tell you where does your time go.
Yeah, most of the time watching.
Instagram, Facebook, maybe you would, but I am like my son, dude, can you share me your screen time? Okay, dad, he brings the phone. Can you, and I don't touch the phone. Can you go to the screen app? Okay. Can you go to the app section? Okay. Can you read how much time you spend on what? Well, dad, this happened, that happened. Can you spell that out? How much time did you spend on Instagram? Time waste. Even in Instagram, even on YouTube, you have those 10 seconds, they call it as reels. Oh, I'm being spiritual, I'm watching these. I'm sorry, I do share those reels, not for that purpose, but slowly, I want to come to the platform where you listen 1 hour class a week at least. Understand what we are discussing. The problem with this, oh, I'm being spiritual, dad. He tells me, I've been watching Kirtan. Okay, watching these clips. At the end of the day, can you tell me what did you learn today? Well, I don't remember anything. Do you agree? None of this thing penetrated our heart. It just, what do you call it as? Touched the surface of our brain or ear and then just went off. And that's unfortunately, that's why being mindful is very important. Just introspect. What am I doing in my life? Is this what the goal of my life? I read this verse today. What am I supposed to do out of that one? Introspect in your life. This is a very important aspect. That's why nature is really good. I love nature. And when you go in nature, leave, like Prabhu was telling, leave the phone aside and think about What a beauty God has created. What a beauty God has created. You see in summer very beautiful colored birds, very different ways of flying, very different ways of their singing or whatever chirping we call it. Experience nature. That's how you get one day closer, because it's just his nature and appreciate it. Today we appreciate machines more than nature. That's the biggest problem today. So much connected with matter, we think people as a matter, and we deal with people like machines, and that's the problem. Like for an example, someone calls you, yes, what can I do for you? Yes, even with our home people, we just, rather than wishing someone, like I remember I was moving from one place to another, and I called some company, and I still remember their response. The first ring they picked up, how can I make your day better? I just heard this line, and I paused. I'm just in so many 10 things I have to move, I have to figure out the moving company. There is a lesson there. There is a lesson there that this person is saying. There is so much chaos around you. There are hardly people who can actually think about how to make your day better. Of course, that's their marketing thing. But I want to borrow that line. How can I make your day better? How can I make my day better? Think about it. Grow above the bodily platform and understand what is the responsibility of soul. That should be the takeaway for what we are reading. I'm sorry I became too philosophical, but does it make sense? I think we will end here. Can we chant one round together? Is that okay with you? I know I'm getting late, but we will chant one round, because ultimately I want to request all of you chant one round daily. That's it. If you do that, that's the biggest blessing for me.
Yeah. Have we got some gift? Fancy gift. Is it okay to return it back? We got some gift. So
You keep this also, you keep this also.
I thought somebody will use it.
This is also not a tulsi bead. Tulsi bead is different.
They're supposed to be Rudraksha, but
This
I don't
this is not
know.
Rudraksha either. Yeah, this is supposed to be. I don't know what is it, but this is not Rudraksha.
Most of those places nowadays you don't get.
Yeah. So Tulsi is different because Tulsi is very dear to Krishna. So I didn't bring my bead back, but I chant on. But there are rules for that one. Like you shouldn't be keeping this above, below your waist, because that's in pure area, so we don't put it down, and at the same time it has to be put it in the back so it doesn't touch any other surfaces. Sorry, I didn't want to discriminate. So we'll chant couple of verses. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pashyate Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. We'll chant together now. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Krishna, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Krishna